Defining next actions for your tasks and projects is key to the GTD Getting Things Done methodology. But recently on the Connect forum, some folks raised some interesting questions about next actions. So I think it's time to consider the concept of next actions and take a look at some best practices. Hi, I'm Dave Edwards. Have you signed up for my weekly newsletter yet? I write about GTD, productivity, Evernote, and all related things. I'd love to add you as a subscriber. Just head over to my website, daveedwardsmedia.com, click on Contact, fill out the form, and I'll take it from there. So I found this post on the forum. Somebody wrote, I found that when clarifying a next action, if the first thing I think of as the next action isn't truly the next action, I think about that first thing rather than trusting my system. As an example, the inbox item, service car. First thing, call service desk to schedule appointment. The actual next action is ask spouse when we can drop off the car for service. When I put this on the list, I write, Peggy, when can we drop off the car for service? I keep thinking of calling the service desk while I look at my calls. Peggy, when can we drop off the car for service? Then call service desk for an appointment. I don't think about it at all until I'm in a meeting with Peggy. This kind of violates the only next actions you can do now go on context lists. Am I missing an obvious alternative? Good question. And then someone else added to the forum, is there a reason why you cannot have two or more next actions for a project? To me, it seems like these are congruent next actions that can be independent of each other. For example, you may need to talk with the service desk for their open days for appointments. It may be next week, 2 weeks from now, or beyond. It could be useful to put a hold for appointments for a couple of available days, then call up again later to confirm the actual date and time once you conferred with your spouse. That's a lot to unpack. So let's start with what David Allen said about next actions in his Getting Things Done book. The next action means the next visible physical action to move something forward. Personally, if I have a new project and I can think of 3 next action steps, I add them rather than risk forgetting them. I classify them according to what GTD refers to as contexts. That allows me to separate next action items by where I'll work on them or what I need to complete them. Things like at home or at work or outside or at errands. Remember what David Allen says, you can't do a project, you can only do a next action. So it's important to take the process seriously. But in answer to the first person's post, I don't think there's anything sacrosanct about saying you could only have 1 or 2 next action items for a project. I mean, if you think of more, I'd rather write them down than forget about them. See, this is where I think sometimes people make a mistake about GTD, or at least the way I have implemented GTD. If you get too dogmatic with the approach of saying, well, David says this, and you don't do what makes you feel comfortable, you're not going to be as productive because you can't replicate the way David Allen thinks. He has given us a framework for getting things done, and now it's up to us to see how we can best implement those ideas into our daily lives. I'm Dave Edwards.